Guys, there is a key indicator that is signaling that the next bull run could be very, very huge. And that signal is the Bitcoin supply on exchanges. And it's at even more than a 5-year low. That's right. If you look at this graph, this almost invisible line here is the Bitcoin supply on exchanges, and the corresponding is Bitcoin's price. As you can see, whenever there's a low in either like I think May of 19, and then again in like December of 20, and of course then again in basically December of 22, we've actually gone up afterwards each time, and we're way down here now. And if you actually look at this graph, now this isn't a one-to-one graph of Bitcoin, obviously. Some of the numbers are definitely scrunched. It's not really a logarithmic graph, but it's not like, a good representative graph. So like, 70K and 50K should be further apart. So this should be a slight slant downward. But as you can see, like as we leveled off of the Bitcoin reserves here, we started going down. But now we're at the bottom, and like really Bitcoin reserves have not been this low in a long time. Even back in 2019, they weren't this low at the bottom of 2 bull runs ago. But you can see like after they reached a bottom here, like we started going up and we went up to 13K, and then we went to another local bottom here in this like in late 2020, and then you all know what happened there. We went way up in late 2020, early 2021. Of course, it reached another local bottom, not quite as low, but a local bottom in 2023 or like early 2023. And after that, we went up as well. I mean, we went up for the whole year from like early 2023 to like early 2024. And, like from early 2023 to early 2024, the Bitcoin supply on exchanges evened out a bit. And then like, in early 2024, just after the ETF stuff, they started dropping again, and then we started like leveling off. So like basically every time the Bitcoin supply starts to drop, we either like don't really do anything in price or go down. But once we reach a local bottom in price, it starts to go up, and we are lower than we've ever been before. So that signals a most epic bull run. Remember, the lower the exchange supply is of Bitcoin, the more likely an epic bull run is going to occur. Because once people start buying, exchanges have to replenish their Bitcoin so people can buy. And exchanges never want their Bitcoin to get anywhere close to zero, because then they have to basically shut down for business, and they will have to buy Bitcoin off the market at much higher prices, thereby pushing the price up. Now, Bitcoin's high in terms of like in exchange stashes is 3.3 million. We're down at like 2.6 million. So we're like 700,000 Bitcoin off the top. Now, this is all exchanges combined, not just one or two exchanges. So exchanges do not like to see their Bitcoin supply go that low. Plus, when the value is high, the exchanges want to make some money selling out too. So they don't want their Bitcoin stash to go to zero while it's really low. So at this point, as you can see, we are like 100, 200,000 lower than we've ever been, even lower than the last lowest point, which was like mid 2019 or early 2019. But then we were at 2.8 million Bitcoins on the reserve status, and now we're at 2.6 million or so on the exchange reserve status. So that does point to a bull run starting soon, and it points to an ever epic bull run because, like I said, it's never been this low before. So I definitely think like with the ETF stuff, with people actually withdrawing money, Bitcoin to put in their own wallets, exchanges are going to be getting nervous to actually get more coins in their own wallets, and they'll start buying it up fairly soon. Right now, there's still a supply from Mt. Gox. There's still a supply from like some of the governments selling, but eventually I think that will wane, and I think we're going to run into it in October. And speaking of that, we do actually have another article that basically says Bitcoin price eyes last dip before October, and that's by a lot of analysts doing technical analysis. I don't really do technical analysis, but the thing is I agree with them on this one because I've said for a long time now that right after the rate cut, which is September 18th, next week, book it, I do actually think we're going to have a small dip, maybe down into the lower 50,000s, and that will set us a bottom for the next breakout. Of course, crypto analysts are eyeing an October breakout despite current market slump, partly caused by continuous negative outflows from US Bitcoin ETFs. Some people have actually sold, but the whales are still accumulating. But they're seeing October is the breakout because that's maybe like a couple of weeks after the Fed reverses the position and starts cutting rates, which makes crypto more attractive. So Bitcoin is set for a breakout in October, according to analysts who are eyeing one last major correction out of a parabolic phase of the bull cycle. So I don't know if it's like one last major correction. I think it's like more of a meh correction. Like I said, like it's 58 right now. I could see 52 or so. I don't really see a correction into the 40s at this point. I mean, I guess Japan could increase rates again, but they said they wouldn't actually do that. So I don't think they'll actually do that. So basically, Bitcoin price has been forming higher highs and higher lows since February 2024. I don't know if you could actually say that. Yes, we were lower in February before the ETF came, but we actually got much higher. In March and August, and we've actually been doing like lower lows and lower highs since then. So it depends on which trend you actually look at. According to their chart, the analyst chart patterns indicate another potential correction towards the 51,000 trend line before the next leg up. So I can see 52,000, 51. I don't see us dipping below 50. Furthermore, Bitcoin CME gap analysts point to a potential correction to 54K. 54K I can definitely see, and I'd be more comfortable saying that level after the rate cuts, because I think the rate cuts are going to disappoint people a little bit because they're not doing a jumbo rate cut, they're doing a regular rate cut, which is, by the way, the right way to go. But that's not going to convince too many investors that way. So CME gap analysts had become a popular way to evaluate potential retest areas for Bitcoin during a momentum breakout. When these gaps are formed, traders often mark them as potential support and resistance ranges before trend continuation or reversal. Other analysts are also expecting a dip to end the current Bitcoin consolidation phase, include popular analyst Titan of Crypto. It's likely time for Bitcoin to wrap up this consolidation phase. History doesn't always repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And if you look at the 4-year cycle, of course, that is where we actually get to rhyming, because last time we did actually go up in November and December, and we started to go up in October. And this time I do think it's going to be much of the same. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Gary Gensler is under investigation by Congress, and it's for political appointments. Now, the head of the SEC is always a political appointment. In fact, even though the president can't fire the head of the SEC, he is actually expected to resign if during his term the parties actually, the power in the White House changes parties. So the head of the SEC is always a political appointment, but other agency appointees aren't supposed to be political appointments. And Congress has actually found evidence that Gary Gensler made political appointments, which is a no-no. Now, this does happen all the time, but obviously it's hyper-partisan right now, so the GOP is going to go after Gary Gensler. And plus, he is someone that's easy to go after, because I think there are a bunch of Democratic lawmakers that wouldn't actually defend Gary Gensler because they don't like what he's doing to crypto, because they got that crypto super PAC money. So there's 3 GOP lawmakers that are trying to ask Gary Gensler to turn over information on his agency's hiring process, and they could try to force him to resign even if Harris wins the election. Because I think all 3 of these guys have gotten the crypto super PAC money, and even if they don't win the election, they want Gary Gensler out. So U.S. House Republicans have probed SEC Commission Chair Gary Gensler, saying his agency could be hiring based on political affiliation, and even though the head of the SEC is indeed a political appointee, the rest of the guys under him should not. So in a September 10th letter to Gensler, a Democrat, GOP lawmakers Jim Jordan, Patrick McHenry, and James Comer accused the agency of hiring individuals from left-leaning organizations to fill senior roles at the SEC. And this centers around a guy called Ho Shang Zhu, the SEC Director of Trading and Markets, may have been influenced by his political affiliation. On May 18th, 2021, following a call you held with Dr. Zhu to discuss his potential employment at the SEC, Dr. Zhu emailed you to affirm his ideological suitability for the employment under you, stating, "I believe I'm in the right place on the right political spectrum. I'm happy to provide as many details as needed so you feel comfortable." So the political spectrum should not have actually been mentioned at all, if indeed it was influenced by his politics. As an appointment for the director of trading and markets, that could be a problem for Gary Gensler. As this correspondence suggests, the SEC appears to be unlawfully considering an applicant's political ideology when hiring bureaucrats, and it's supposed to be hired on merit. Now, he is a PhD, but if it is actually associated with his political affiliation, depending on who else was applying for the job, that can definitely be a problem. Obviously, like Gary Gensler, in order to go after crypto, might actually want someone that is his same political ideology. He doesn't really want someone else like Hester Pierce that would actually get in his way. So what they're saying is, if these allegations are true, the SEC is violating the Civil Service Reform Act to fill agencies with employees who possesses particular ideology, which undermines the SEC's purported impartiality. Now, I find it really hard for the SEC to be impartial because the chair that's actually appointed by the government, but the president, always comes from that specific president's party. But there are certain rules that you can't violate, and if Gensler did indeed violate these rules, he might be forced to step down regardless because of the because of the controversy that this would actually stir up. He also was asked to turn over any information on the SEC's evaluation of applicants' political affiliations or political ideology. They're obviously targeting Gary Gensler's unpopularity right now to actually do this. Not really as a show of support to like crypto people, but I think Gary Gensler is like one politician that's actually in there that's angling for a certain job right now, Secretary of the Treasury, and he's an easy target right now because his tenure as an SEC commissioner, at least when it comes to crypto, is a big failure, and I think there's a lot of public support against him because of that. So we'll have to see what happens to Mr. Gary Gensler. So the SEC did not immediately respond to Cointelegraph's request for comment. So the thing is, like, Gensler might actually have to step down regardless of who wins the election if they keep probing and it's found out that he did make political appointees in other positions of the SEC. That's not his own position, because his own position is indeed a political appointment. I mean, technically it's not supposed to be, but it's always a political appointment regardless of which side's in the White House. It's always like one of the guys. They always appoint their guy. So some of you are wondering, if crypto is such a big deal, why isn't it being mentioned in debates? And the thing is, I'm going to show you that it's actually not that big of a deal, and there's not that many people voting solely on crypto. So it wasn't brought up in the debates again. And someone who's actually researching this said, like what I've been saying for a couple of weeks now, that that candidates don't care about the crypto voters, but they care about the crypto wallet. And they did do a survey of most people's most important issues, and crypto didn't even come into the top 10, not even the top 15. So what that means is crypto is still an insignificant issue to most voters. So presidential debates cover issues that polling shows are most important: immigration, healthcare, and the economy, climate change, and more. So why was crypto not mentioned even once? None of the presidential candidates, either in this debate or in the Joe Biden, Donald Trump debate, mentioned crypto. So it is because of a simple fact. For most part, politicians tend to care more about remaining in office than anything else, regardless of party. So it takes a certain type of person to actually be a politician. And the thing is, like, because of the survey, they do realize that there's not a lot of people voting because of crypto, but they care because crypto actually has deep pockets. In order to stay in office, politicians need donations. So you might remember that Trump spoke at Bitcoin Nashville, and he made a lot of promises, and he said that all Bitcoins should be made in the US. That's obviously nonsense, because Bitcoin's mined everywhere in the world. The US can't control 100% of the hash rate. That's just not going to happen. That doesn't even actually make any sense. But that is just like stumping. That doesn't actually mean it's a pressing concern. His main purpose for that is because he was there for a fundraising dinner. And get this, he charged attendees as much as $844,600 per person. So over 840 grand for a seat at the table as fundraising dinner. So those crypto CEOs who wanted a table with Donald Trump during dinner had to shell out over 800 grand. And that can go, a couple of those tickets can go a long way in the campaign and get you elected. So they actually need that. The maximum, and that is the maximum donation allowed under law. Other attendees paid $60,000 just for a picture with the former president. Kamala Harris also did another fundraising dinner in San Francisco, and they charge anywhere from between $3,300 to $50,000 to actually attend for a seat at the table with Vice President Harris. But Donald Trump charged over $800,000 per person for a seat at the table with him, and a lot of those crypto guys paid up. So because the crypto guys are giving him over $800,000 to be at the table with him, he has to acknowledge their industry, and that's why both him and Harris are moving more towards a pro-crypto policy. It's also why Chuck Schumer is moving towards pro-crypto policy, because both sides are seeing that money come in, and they don't want to compete against that money. So basically, what this proves is like, they don't care about the crypto voters. They only care about that crypto money at this point. So that's why they never mention crypto in these debates, because it's just not a big issue to a lot of people. It's a big issue to a certain group of select elite crypto CEOs, but it's not actually like a huge issue for the general public at large. So these two guys, as the study shows, and as the researcher found out, don't give a rat's ass about crypto, but they want that crypto money. So both sides of the aisle will have to be friendly towards crypto. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.